Dakuku Peterside is probably one of the most decorated politicians in Rivers State. He's been a local government chairman, he's been a commissioner, he's been a member of the House of Representatives. And of course, recently, he was heading NIMASA. We're here today to speak to him on The Conversation Nigeria, here on Capital TV. My name is Ndume. So, straight to the point, and then a whole lot of things we're going to be talking about today. But first, 2023 is just by the corner. Are you going to run for the office of the governor of Rivers State?
Well, thank you very much. And let me start by saying congratulations to Capital Television. I appreciate the role you will feel, and that is to inform, educate, entertain, and if possible, influence the public. So I hope that Capital Television will bring a fresh perspective in discharging that responsibility.
Thank you.
It is an onerous responsibility bestowed on you by society. It is not one to be taken lightly. So I'm happy to be associated with Capital Television.
Thank you.
And I hope that 10 years down the line, by virtue of the kind of output you deliver, by virtue of ethical conduct and quality production, I'll be proud to say that we saw tomorrow with Capital Television.
Thank you.
Now to 2023. It is a long time. You know that 24 hours is a long time.
In politics.
Both in politics and in natural occurrences. I'm sure you've heard people going to sleep and they won't wake up the next morning.
Sure.
But I'm an incurable optimist. So I believe for the best. And my answer is simple. Will I run in 2023 or not? I'm a member of a political family. I'm a member of a political party. I am a freeborn of Rivers State. If there's anything today, there's any gap that needs to be addressed, it's that of leadership. There's nothing wrong with Rivers State. We are an endowed people.
Absolutely.
We've got very smart people. God has blessed us with a lot of natural resources. The gap is clearly leadership. Our people will admit and they know that leadership has failed us, especially in the past 6 years. And so whatever anybody can bring to the table to change our narrative, to change our development trajectory is welcome. I believe that I'll be part of a team that will recreate Rivers State, give the average Riversman hope, give him a sense of pride, restore joy in homes. And if being part of that team means that I should put myself forward, of course, I will oblige that invitation. But for now, we are still at the level of engagement. Engagement at various levels, engagement as a political party, engagement as a political family, engagement with a wider audience in Rivers State. When we are through with our engagement, we will put our best foot forward. And so, just give us a little time, we'll be able to tell you what is that best foot forward.
You just left office as the head of NIMASA. When you look back at your performance there, what's that striking thing? What strikes you the most?
Whenever I reflect on my time of service in NIMASA, I'm proud to say, with sense of modesty, that I initiated a massive reform that has become a model in Africa. Virtually all maritime administrations in Africa today are doing one form of reform or the other. Now, this reform has had multiplier effect. A number of government agencies in Nigeria, particularly regulatory agencies, are also embarking on some form of reforms. So that's the first thing that strikes me oh, how come we initiated a massive reform agenda? Recall that before period preceding March 2016, the story of NIMASA was the story of fraud, corruption, all the negatives. But today, I'm sure that you know that NIMASA is the pride of this country. I just read online this morning that the current leadership of NIMASA remitted 37 billion to Federation accounts. I'm very proud of them. I'm proud of the great things they're doing. You also may have noticed that before my time in NIMASA, the highest NIMASA remitted to Federation account was 2 billion naira. And in my first year, we remitted 20 billion. And we continued with that upward trajectory. It's not about remittance, because it is not a revenue generating agency. It is revenue generating is only consequential to our regulatory work. Now, we achieved the record of being the #1 safety administration in the continent of Africa continuously for 3 years. That's something I'm very proud of. Something that I look back with some sense of satisfaction. We had the best record in port and flag state control. Now, we had cabotage responsibility. We delivered on our cabotage responsibility. For the first time, the Maritime Administration of Nigeria was able to put 7,000 Nigerians on board cabotage vessels. Now, aside from that, our tonnage in terms of cabotage became the highest in Africa. And so on all fronts, working with a team of dedicated, focused young men and women,
Let's take a look at the clarification you're making about NIMASA again and the kind of agency that it was, because there is this sort of misconception around Rivers State that Dr. Peterside was in NIMASA. He did not bring roads to Rivers State. He did not bring an airline. He did not revamp our ports. What's all this talk about?
Thank you very much. What people don't understand is that NIMASA is a regulatory agency. Our function is to ensure safety on our waterways and safety in terms of vessels that ply our waterways. And we're not talking about the inland waters. That is the responsibility of the Nigerian Inland Waterways Authority. It is the responsibility of the Nigerian Ports Authority to develop ports, manage ports. We are also not a development intervention agency. We do not have the responsibility to build roads, hospitals, schools. We are simply a regulatory agency. What we did in NIMASA was to refocus the agency on its core responsibility of regulating shipping, and in addition, promoting shipping activities. And I think that we discharge that responsibility satisfactorily. I had pointed out earlier, we had the enviable record of being the #1 maritime administration in Africa in terms of port and flag state control, which is our primary responsibility. We had that record for 3 years running. Our record in cabotage speaks for itself. We're the first to put 7,000 Nigerians on board cabotage vessels. We have the highest cabotage tonnage in Africa. We have a 0 accident safety record in a period of 4 years. We initiated what is called a 5-year cabotage waiver cessation plan. Now, it was a master plan that defined the objective. We didn't want to be granting waivers after 5 years. And we did not only define the objective, we created a roadmap. Now, with regular measurements. What you don't measure, of course, you can't manage. We created a clear roadmap, put, of course, various milestones. Now, define the resources we needed, define, short, medium, and long-term measures. There was clarity of vision, and in terms of strategy, there was clarity. And there was clarity rather. And we'll keep talking about governance. In governance, please, can you let the people know clearly what you want to achieve, the time frame you want to achieve it, how you intend to achieve it, all the resources you need to achieve it, and the methods and specifics, the details, the granular details of how you intend to achieve it. We were able to accomplish that in NIMASA. We had shown in NIMASA that all of this is doable.
I've listened to you speak clear-cut ideas on leadership, clear-cut roadmap on what you want to do as a politician in office. I know, but I just want, for the purpose of our recording here, I want you to give us an idea. If eventually you become the governor of Rivers State,
Eventually run and become governor.
Eventually run and you become the governor of Rivers State, which is not out of place because, I mean, it's your right as a Rivers person. What are those key things you feel are not in place that you want to implement?
Well, if I make up my mind to run for the office of governor of Rivers State and I'm elected by the people of Rivers State, there are 4 clear things I focus on. The first is security. Now, security is both tangible and intangible. And when I say tangible, make sure that people are safe and they feel safe. And that is the foundation for every other development. And when we talk about security, now we're not just talking about security of having men and women with arms running around. We don't even want to see them. Yet let people know that they're safe, that they can go to bed with their both eyes closed, sleep well, and no harassment of any form. Let there also be a feeling of safety. That would be my primary focus. Now, the next is human capital development. The entire purpose of government is the welfare of the people. Today in Rivers State, that has been neglected to the background. It is not part of the priorities of the current government. If I were to be governor today, what I can say to you, that in the first 4 years, I will create 1,000 businesses that will be at the $1 million minimum mark, equity level, minimum. $1 million, 1,000 of such business, each of which will employ minimum of 5 persons. That will mean minimum of 5,000 persons. You will have a clear roadmap, and we say we have put 5,000 persons on a sustainable job. Now, when we talk about human capacity, we're talking about all the dimensions of human capacity. We will grow education. We will ensure that Rivers State becomes the reference state of education in the entire country of Nigeria and the continent of Africa. How do we do that? It will be a multi-pronged approach, starting from the foundation. When we had a government that laid the foundation on primary education, we will build on that foundation. And it's not just about building infrastructure. It will include school enrollment, curriculum, support, all the support services, and ensure that they get 21st century ICT-based education. And as we'll progress from there to secondary education and ensure that our people get world-class tertiary education, whether outside the country or within the country. What guarantee we can give is that every single year we will ensure that at least 50,000 young men and women of Rivers origin get quality tertiary education. Now, you take healthcare as another strand of human capacity development. Now, when people are not healthy, of course, they will not be productive. A situation where nobody considers primary healthcare. Now, we also had a government in the past that built over 300 world-class primary healthcare centers. What has happened to those primary healthcare centers? We will ensure that they are not only refurbished and made to work optimally, but most importantly, give people access. We'll look at the community health insurance scheme again. And so that's the second strand. We've looked at the fact, I've talked about security. I've talked about human capacity development. Now, the other one is infrastructure that drives growth, not infrastructure that satisfies our ego. Now, what we have done is that what currently we have in Rivers State is that we are building flyovers that solves 2 problems. 1, line somebody's pocket with plenty of money. 2, that obviously exhibits thoughtlessness and planlessness. How do you explain that you have multiple flyovers that was not thought through on a single road with no impact on the economy of the state? Even if you say he wants to address traffic, you must understand the linkage between traffic and economic growth. Economic notes, economic growth. If you don't understand these linkages, then you will not deliver the right outcome. It's not about output. Now, output must have a relationship with outcome. So it's not enough to just build roads. These roads must contribute to economic growth, creating employment for the people, empowering the people. Transportation is a facilitator of development. Transportation does not exist for its own sake. It has to be a facilitator for education. So that would be, for me, the third focus of a government that I lead. Now, the fourth is to focus dedicatedly on employment creation. In course of discussing human capacity development, I'd mentioned that in first 4 years, we will create 1,000 businesses that will be on the $1 million mark minimum. Creating employment will mean that we will support those with raw talent, polish their talents. We will create hubs. We will support businesses. We will create incubation centers. We will create the right environment that will attract investment in our state. I'm sure you go through your records. Rivers State is one of the 10 states that have attracted the least foreign direct investment over the last 6 years. We're not among top 3. Meanwhile, we have an international airport, we have seaport, we are connected by road to 5 major states, from Ndone to Anambra, of course to Imo, to Abia, to Akwa Ibom, and of course, I've mentioned Abia, Imo, Akwa Ibom, Anambra, and Delta State. Now we are connected, of course, Bayelsa. We are connected to 6 states. So we have everything to become a major logistics hub and investment destination. Why are we not? Simply lack of governance, meaning lack of leadership, lack of focus, no plans, and we have not provided the environment to attract investment. I've never seen, maybe, let me not say we, I've never seen a government so thoughtless, lacking in vision, with no clear agenda, and no priorities, no timeline, no strategy. We've never had this bad.
Dr. Peterside, I think this conversation will not end today if we continue it from here. There's a whole lot of things that we need to talk about again, but it's been a pleasure to have you on the show today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for speaking to us, and I do hope to see you at our unveiling event this evening.
I'll be there.
Thank you very much. All right, that was Dr. Dakuku Peterside. My name is Ndume and you're just watching The Conversation Nigeria on Capital TV. Bye-bye.